How's it going, my lovely Death Disciples? I'm the Shattered Reaper. Now, hold on a moment while I go ahead and center on my character. I'm the Shattered Reaper. Today we got ourselves another League of Legends matchup here, and today we are once again playing Caitlyn, whom I am 100% maining as Caitlyn. I just do so well with Caitlyn, and I just feel like she is the person I am definitely playing the most. I have actually gotten a tip, well, actually, it's just basically where I'm like working to master Caitlyn and kind of thinking that maybe as a main for her it's not too big of a deal if I don't necessarily play other champions. But like I do have a backup just in case I do get blocked from Caitlyn, but I am mostly going to be playing as Caitlyn. I am definitely going to be maining her in case you're wondering if there are going to be a lot of Caitlyn videos or Senna videos or whatever. That's the reason why. I did try that with Ashe. Unfortunately, I'm just really bad with Ashe, but I've gotten really good with Caitlyn, so definitely with her help, I'm definitely doing what I think I can do. And anyway, enough about my weird-ass rambling. As Caitlyn, in this build, we are going to be doing something that I call the Bloodthirsty build. Or, well, I don't know what it could necessarily be called, because it does a little bit of, like, denying enemy regeneration, but at the same time, I'm also giving myself regeneration based on the amount of damage I do. So right now, we're just kind of helping with Wukong over in the, over with the blue buff, just to make sure that we can offer a little bit of help. Then, after getting them down to a low enough health, I decide to go over to bottom lane, and we can already see that our matchup is going to be me with Seraphine against an enemy Jean and a Vayne. Now, it's not necessarily going to start out very well, as you could tell, as they deal a ton of damage against me, forcing me to use my only health potion already, which I was not expecting, but, you know, it is what it is. And while this may be a pretty heavy-hitting team build at the moment, at the same time, it is going to kind of have a bit of a drop-off, as you'll be able to see later on, because the two are trying to compete for who's going to be the actual bottom, or ADC. Meanwhile, I'm just farming as I please, getting all the kills that I can get for the minions. And you'll see that it'll benefit me more later on. However, they are dealing a ton of heavy damage against me and Seraphine because they are both ADC characters, but again, it is going to fall off eventually. So while it looks a bit dire at the moment, I can assure you it's gonna have some problems. But yeah, it is definitely doing a lot to harass us, to keep us from being able to get minion kills, but at the same time, it's not quite doing enough to keep me from getting minion kills. So yeah, I am definitely doing my work in order to be able to farm, while also making sure I keep a safe distance. My timing isn't the best on all of these, but it is at least doing something. I do get hit by Jean's mine, but I do also get a nice headshot off of him. But after trying to chase him, I have to back off because Vayne is trying to make sure I don't get him, which, good idea. Make sure your teammates don't die if you have enough health. Always a priority you want to make sure so that the enemy team does not benefit from your teammates' deaths. But if there's nothing you can do to save your teammates, well then, same logic. You don't want your enemies to get more benefits from death, so do not give them the opportunity to benefit from your death. Seraphine accidentally body blocked for me there, and she is about to die. I try to help her out, but it was no good. She dies, and there was nothing I could do. I'm still on low health, so I try to get Jean a little bit, try to use my Q on him, but he moves out of the way, and while I'm trying to farm, he is just trying to distract me, and I realize that this is not a very good situation at the moment, so I decide I need to back, regardless of the fact that I do not have a whole lot of gold for my own uses. I only have about like 600 gold, but as you can see, I already have more minion kills than both Vayne and Jean. Even if it's just by, well, actually now they have more because I'm not there, but as you could tell, I am able to benefit more from the minion kills because I'm able to purchase more items. I mean, they haven't backed yet, but you know, you get what I mean. It's going to be a little difficult for them to try and balance between how they're going to determine who gets the minion kills, and it's not really going to benefit them very well. But as you can see, I get myself whatever I can. I get myself a longsword, and I also get myself a dagger. And of course, I always have my trusty starter item, Cull, which gives me some extra money, some extra gold for whenever I kill a lane minion, and also an extra 350 when I get all of 100 stats. But as you can see, both Vayne and Jin are doing a lot of harassment on Seraphine. I lay a trap over down in the bush, and I try to farm whatever I can. I miss my E, unfortunately, so I was not able to benefit from anything while Vayne was trying to harass me. But I do benefit from getting a bunch of the minion kills, so it works out for me. Olaf, however, is now in the jungle, and I do kind of notice, so I back off a little bit. I was about to target Vayne, but I noticed that Jean was there, so I use my net on him, and I get the kill off of him. So it definitely benefits me a little bit that I was able to get my first kill as an ADC. Meanwhile, Vayne does have the first kill. I apologize for all the stutterings. But anyway, as you can see, because Jean is no longer available, Vayne is not able to compete with both me and Seraphine, and so she backs off heavily, as well as with our jungler being in the vicinity. I take a little bit of opportunity, of course, to get the farming so that I can get the gold and experience for obvious reasons, because that's always going to be important throughout the game. Always want to make sure you manage your CS in a proper manner where you always are outpacing your enemies. Unless you're support, because support does not have to worry about the CS. But if you're the one doing the damage, such as for Caitlyn, you have to worry about how many minions you get. And of course, you also have to worry about the dodging, which I do attempt to do, but it doesn't always work. You also want to make sure you're not being overwhelmed by enemy minions, because they can deal a lot of damage if you're not careful. So, always want to make sure you're taking care of them and you have the opportunity to strike. But also not to be too distracted by them, because if you distract yourself too much with minions, well then you could easily leave yourself open for a nice little poke shot by the ADC. So, definitely don't want to do that. I know, I'm giving a lot of information, but it is very important to understand that, and it's very important to realize how important all of this stuff is in the game. So I do see a low health Jean, and I take the opportunity by going after him. I do hit Vayne a little bit because she did get into my trap, but that does mean that they both escape, even if they are kind of low. So it's always something important that I always have to keep reminding myself. Just focus on one person, don't divide your attention between both of them. Just focus your attention on the one person that you can kill. That doesn't necessarily mean tunnel vision, but it does mean that if you're going in for the kill, make sure to go in for the kill. But always be aware of, like, your position, be aware of how much health you have, always be aware of the things that you have, your current situation, and make sure, okay, can I actually kill the person I'm trying to go for, or am I going to have to leave? Because these are things that are very important to make sure, so that you don't mess up and, you know, you don't die, you don't feed the enemy team. Very important things to keep in mind. Now, one thing I obviously like to do is when I am waiting on the degrading of the health of the melee minions, is I always like to go for the ranged minions, because they are easier to kill. They're also the damage dealers, so it's very nice to be able to get rid of them. I could have gone in for the Jean hit, but I also noticed Olaf over in the jungle that borders our bottom lane, so I don't really want to be cornered by Olaf. That would be a very bad idea in any situation, to be cornered by both the entire bottom lane as well as the jungler, because it's only going to mean bad things for you. Now, we head back to Fountain after getting our bunch of gold, and as you could tell, I do still have quite a bit of minion kills. Jean with 15 and 32 for Vayne, both of them combined is higher than me, but at the same time, it's also dividing how much experience and how much gold they actually get from each other. So it benefits me more because I have more gold and more ability to be able to get things from it. As you can see, Jean has a bunch of starter items for a particular build. He's also got his boots, which, granted, I do not have. But I do have the Noom Quiver, which is very important to have, because it not only gives me some extra attack damage and attack speed, but it's also more effective on minions. So it's a very nice starter item, especially when I have the cull, so that I can benefit the most in being able to farm minions, and also be able to do it in a more effective and efficient manner. So I already have a nice tier 2 item. Seraphine traps Jean with her charm, and because of all the slowing and the damage we're doing, it gives the opportunity so that I can get my second kill of the game. So always very nice to be able to do whenever your support has a good capture and it is safe enough for the ADC to be able to go in and chase for it, go for it. Because the support and the ADC working together is always going to be important, that the rhythm keeps on going between you two. Now, there are obviously some times where just because the support captures an enemy champion, you don't necessarily want to go in for it. Like, for example, if it's way behind an enemy minion lane, I'd recommend not following up with that, even though you could get flamed for it. Like, it's like, hey, pay attention, I captured someone. It's like, yeah, I mean, yeah, but it's also behind enemy lines, so that does not really look like a safe bet for me. Now, granted, of course, like, obviously you want to pay attention to when a support is capturing someone, but yeah, make sure it's safe enough for you to do that. As you can tell, because Seraphine goes in and dives the tower and just tanks a bunch of damage for me, as well as our jungler being there, it offers me the opportunity to be able to get my third kill, which is Vayne. So as I have already mentioned, and as you can easily tell, we also get the bottom turret. But as you could tell, the 2 ADC build does not really benefit them, because in the end, having the 1 ADC is going to make them more powerful than having 2 ADCs in the same lane. It doesn't necessarily work in the laning phase. Now, of course, I do get a bit cocky here where this is going to be something to learn from my own mistake. I see Olaf being very low health. I think I have an opportunity, but in the end, it was a very bad idea. Olaf was a bit more tankier than I thought he was going to be, and the rest of the team just basically benefits from my mistake, so it really does not work for me. Yone making a very risky move, and it does not benefit him in the slightest because he gets ulted down by Lux. So yeah, really didn't work there. But yeah, as you could tell, so far I am doing pretty well. I also get my boots, and I also have 30 stacks of the call left because I have 70 minion kills. And I also have 2 more kills than both Vayne and Jean, so their split ADC strategy isn't necessarily working because the experience and the gold is all being funneled to and fed to me. So, in the end, even though a double ADC build might sound like a decently good idea, especially at the beginning because you're dealing more damage than the support slash ADC regular, in the end, it's not really going to benefit, in my opinion, because you're trying to divide between 2 different ADCs. Now, it's another thing, I suppose, if one ADC is just acting completely as support and not exactly trying to go for the feed, but at the same time, it's still not necessarily effective to me because you're trying to have an ADC work as a support, which is not their role, and their whole thing is like trying to farm, trying to do damage. And even if you're trying to allow the main ADC to get the most farming, it's probably going to be a little bit more difficult to do because you do more damage than a regular support, whose damage is mostly going to be focused on their abilities, and especially going to be more focused in trying to capture and trap enemies. So in the end, to me, it does not work. We do also get a little bit of a point where we get Olaf, but then Jean also ults, and he is focusing extremely on Jean. I get revenge on Olaf, though, for putting me in that position, and I do get trapped by Lux, and I almost get her. Unfortunately, the snipe did not do enough. I used my Q, and Jean is dealt a ton of damage. I do get captured by Lux, but it does not work. Now, the only other time a support should be able to deal a lot of damage to minions is when they are in the mid lane. Like, if you're Lux, or this Lux, for example, your whole idea is to also farm, but also have a lot of ability damage. So Lux or Brand are definitely good ideas for mid heroes, because you can trap enemies, but you can also deal a lot of damage, especially with your abilities. But it also requires a lot of timing, so be careful on that. Anyway, so here we are, where we got ourselves a dragon kill, and Jean and the rest of the enemy team look like they want to go in, so I'm just hiding in the bush a little bit just to see what it is that they are doing. So far, not a whole lot is happening, but here's where things get really good. The entire enemy team is grouped together in mid, and I take the opportunity to kill the Lux, shoot down the Jinx because they are extremely low health, as well as Squishy. And here, I also get the 3rd kill, a nice triple kill with Olaf, trying to focus me down, but unfortunately because I have the team surrounding him, I'm able to finish him off with a nice final blow to him. Or a nice last shot, probably to the head, between his eyes, even though he's right in front of me. But you know what? It's just one of those badass moments where Olaf tries to charge at me, and he tries to use his double axes, but I just so happen to have the gun properly positioned just to blow his brains out. Now, I will also mention that for a moment, things are kinda gonna go downhill from here, because I am at 7 kills, and I remember things do not necessarily go well. I do have a 400 gold bounty, and I do get a little bit cheeky and eager. I try to dodge, I go after Lux, but this turns out to be a huge mistake because I am too focused. I do help in getting rid of Vayne, but Olaf is just after me, and for some reason, I decide to stay back because I think it's going to do something. I also kind of have a couple moments where I click to try and shoot, but instead it moves me closer. So that kind of makes things even worse. So yeah, again, these are mistakes I make that I hope you will be able to learn from, because I'm not perfect. I only do the best I can, and I try to explain what it is that I do, and that I also make mistakes, really bad ones. So, like, even if I'm showing some really good gameplay, there are bound to be mistakes that I make that I hope to be able to learn from, and maybe if you also intend to play League of Legends, or if you are currently playing League of Legends, you could also learn from my mistakes as well. I see the team gathered in the top jungle, so I try to go over and lend my assistance to their cause, and we are dealing with a Lux and a Scion, I believe. Wukong is kind of backing down. I think this is for me, I thought this was a pretty good opportunity to go after Scion. He is a pretty tanky dude, but eventually this is going to lead to problems in the future. Scion is regenerating a huge amount of shields, which kind of prevents me from killing him with my snipe, which I was thinking of going for earlier. But as it turns out, I should have actually just sniped when I had the opportunity, but I thought he was going to get a kill. I, for some reason, decided to go into that bush, and while I didn't take any damage because of some nice dodges, it wasn't necessarily the best idea because I revealed my location. Now, I try to help out with the Herald of the Rift, and eventually we do get it, so it does provide our team with a nice little benefit. But actually, I do not go into the jungle, but I do go back to mid, and it is there we also learn of their ward, so I want to get rid of it. I'm not entirely sure why Seraphine used up a Oracle, but we were able to take care of the control ward, but I do think she probably could have used it at a different time. When we didn't already know where the ward was, because you could just walk into the bush and you could see the control ward. Now, for pink ward, it's a bit different, but it is also here where I finish off the buffs, the benefits for the call, where I have gotten 100 minion kills, and I can just go ahead and sell it so that I can get a much better item. I decided to go and help in top lane as well, to deal with Olaf and Scion, I believe. Pretty sure it was them. They're both the really tanky dudes, and yeah, this is where I make another huge mistake. Olaf is just after me, and I think I could just take him. Seraphine does get the kill. Lux deals quite a bit of damage through her ult, and I try to go and deal with Scion, while also farming the top lane a little bit. He's looking pretty low, and I think I can take him, but then I also get dealt a lot of damage, and Lux finishes me off. So I didn't see Lux there, but I definitely should have paid a bit more attention as well. This is kind of the problem with tunnel visioning, because if you do get focused on killing one person, then you might also not be aware of your surroundings. So it's kind of a weird balance you have to try and figure out, just to make sure that A, you get your target, but also you don't die. So it's extremely important to make sure that that doesn't happen. So I am out for a while, and so far my KDA is 7 kills, 3 deaths, and 2 assists, but I am also able to get myself the Collector and also the Berserker boots. I know some people recommend Mercury Threads, but Berserker boots, attack speed, it's kind of what I'm here for. And I also get myself the Executioner's Calling, which builds up to Mortal Reminder. I decide to get this because it helps with dealing with a lack of regeneration, which an enemy does have, or at least will have eventually, and it is going to be Olaf. this is another really stupid mistake where I decide to stick around for a fight I could not clearly win, and I get myself CC to crowd control to hell, and I just die. So yeah, really bad decision made on my part. But I'm not entirely sure why the rest of the team decided to go in for this 2v5 fight, because they instantly just die. I mean, mine was definitely worse because I basically went into a 1v5 fight. But yeah, it really did not work for me, so there are some really good plays I make and also some really bad plays I make, so it's really more based on, like, me paying attention and me noticing what is going on, and also me reacting to what's going on. So again, it's a win and a loss that I make, but yeah, there is a reason why I show this, and, well, I mean, part of it is because of how hard I carry, I will admit. Not gonna lie about that. I do a little bit of farming, but then I also notice the enemy is coming in, and I also remember that Scion is definitely more threatening than he appears, so even though he is tanky, and I am very tempted to take down all of that health, but it's definitely something I want to be very careful about. I get myself thrown into a CC for some reason. I also set down a bunch of traps so that anyone who happens to get cocky enough will be within my vicinity of shooting and also available for my headshots. Like that one, for example, which wasn't in a trap, but it was a headshot thanks to my passive. And while the enemy is not being bought into thinking that this is in trying to go for the tower, I do take the opportunity to get some farming, try to help out Yone a little bit, but he does get out of there, and it's not necessarily a beneficial sort of fight, because it doesn't really go anywhere, and we lost a bunch of health because of it. We do get another turret over in the top lane, but Wukong is getting surrounded by Lux and the 3 of the other enemy teammates. We push mid tower, and I decide to try and go after the Jin, who currently is at low health. I snipe him down for a nice good shutdown. So, beat that Jin. You may have had your time in the spotlight, but now it's time for me to return back to it. Do a little bit of farming, and it seems like Lux is doing a bit of jungling. I decide maybe now's the time to get out of there, but I also see my team is in a bit of a fight. I get a bit of damage on Scion, but I also realize this probably isn't a fight I want to deal with. I do use my Q a little bit to try and do something, but at the same time, it's also something I probably want to get out of. But at the same time, I make stupid mistake after stupid mistake trying to kill Olaf, and I get surrounded by the entire enemy team, so now I lost my spotlight, and it went to somebody else. So yeah, definitely, again, pay attention to your surroundings, make sure you know what you're doing, and make sure you don't tunnel vision too hard, because that's exactly what happens when you tunnel vision too hard. And as you can tell, Seraphine is just making sure that the minions stay off of the mid tower. And Wukong's just farming. We also see Vayne and Lux just, you know, head back to their base, head back to Fountain. And Jean is just taking care of the top lane, which I decide to respond to because I remember, okay, let's not go for the tankies, let's go for the squishies. That's a much better idea to just go after the squishies rather than the tanks, because the squishies I can definitely benefit from by making sure that the ADCs do not get more leveling or more damage, because I want to show who's boss here, and it's me. And not only does it benefit me by making sure that the ADCs do not continue leveling up because I'm killing them so much, but it also benefits me because of how much I get from killing them. I get more gold, I also get more of a threatening status, I also get more experience, so I level up faster, even though there are some with bounties. It's just an easier target to go after, and it also makes the availability of their team less available, or that was a bit redundant, but you get what I mean. It has less team members who are available for any team fights. So if I take down their ADCs, it makes it easier because their ADCs cannot necessarily carry them. I decide to go for Skullbug a little bit, but then I also see Jean over there, and I think it's a pretty good opportunity to go after him, but I also notice the ward, so I pay attention to that a little bit. I failed to dodge his ability. I failed to hit him with my net, but I do deal some nice damage to him. I put up a little trap in the bushes to make sure we are not surrounded. But I do also notice Jin making a very big mistake, and I decide to punish him for it with Yone, and I get the final kill, thus proving my strategy to just go after the squishies. Make sure that you get them when they are vulnerable, just go after the squishies, and in a team fight, target them first over the tanks, because the tanks' whole goal is to try and tank damage so that the damaged people can do the damage rather than be put at risk. So, get rid of the squishies, focus on them. As long as you have a safe position in doing so, then you take out the whole point of the tank. But if the tank can also do some damage, that might be a bit of a problem as well. We decide to get into a bit of a team fight as well over at the Dragon, and this is where I put my strategy into full effect. I do damage the tank a little bit, but I also try to look for openings where I could get the squishies, like Lux. So I target her first, and I am able to take her down. I try to get away from the tank, but I then go after Bang, who is another squishy. Then I go for the next squishy, which is Olaf, making sure I keep my distance so that he is not able to kill me. Get the triple kill. I do trap him, Scion, because I did set up a trap in the middle of the chaos, so that's another use you could have for these bear traps. And then, after enough bullets all over him, I get the kill. The quadra kill, and it's beautiful. Jin tries to ult me, but I get out of there as soon as I see it. So I'm like, nice try, Jin, better luck next time, because I just killed the rest of your team. And with that, I basically show more of my status with a nice 13 kills. I did die 5 times, but you know what? I am heavily carrying, and I am feeling pretty damn proud of it. And I also have the moral reminder, which, of course, as you could tell, not only deals with healing, which some of the enemy team has, obviously, but it also deals with regeneration, such as the one you could get from this Scion's Warmog armor. So he gets 800 health, 10 ability haste, but he also gets 200% base health regen from that. So my mortal reminder is definitely going to counter that item. I definitely wanted to make sure that there was an item I could counter, which, I mean, sure, I would have wanted to get mortal reminder anyway, but the Warmog's armor, I definitely want to counter that, because that's a pretty good amount of health regen that you get. So it would be a shame if something were to happen to that, but right now, here's another stupid play I make. Here's another moment where I try to shoot Olaf, but I accidentally moved closer to him, and I get myself ganked by both Olaf and Lux, and I get finished off by Lux's ult. So yeah, Lux is able to get a double kill from that, so that was stupid of me, and it unfortunately dragged our Seraphine into my problems, really. So again, make some good plays here, but I also make some really stupid plays as well. So it's something for me to learn. It's probably also something for you to learn from as well. Just always make sure you're playing safe, because you don't want your enemies to benefit from your demise. You want to benefit from their demise. You do not want it to be the other way around. So, we do come back. I have finished leveling up my Q, my Piltover Peacemaker, which obviously is the main thing to have. I also got my Yordle Snaptrap up pretty high, and of course, obviously, the Ace in the Hole. Definitely want to level that up whenever you get the chance. I mean, that's kind of a main thing, because you always want your ult to be as high of a level as you possibly can make it. But yeah. Definitely things to keep in mind. We did lose a turret to Jean over in the top lane, unfortunately. I think about trying to go over into bottom lane, because I think there are some people there. I put up a ward in one of the jungles that kind of borders the bottom lane, but I decide that it's probably best that I go for mid lane, because it looks like Lux and Scion are going to be pushing a little bit. I also kind of go and use one of the Oracle plants and shoot that, so that I can see if there's anybody else coming through that jungle. I wait for my opportunity to be able to go after Lux, and Seraphine's ult does give me the opportunity. I use my ult to finish off Lux, but I also know I'm pretty fucking boned here. And as much as I try to escape, I do die from the Incinerate spell, or whatever it's called. But I was able to get the squishy, so it's something, but it's a one-off trade, so not that beneficial, but it's something, I suppose. But, however, in the end, the enemy does kind of benefit from getting a bunch of damage off the tower, and because they're extremely tanky, they could just go ahead and focus it however much they want, no matter how much damage they're taking. But they do back up a little bit because they want those minion shields. But as soon as the enemy team is there to counter them, they kind of back off because they realize it's not something they want to get involved with, being under the enemy tower. But Yone is kind of at the front, which honestly I don't think he should be, because he's a bit squishy, and I don't think he could really tank all that damage. I do notice Jean over in the jungle, but there is a team fight going on, and Vayne is a part of it, so I definitely know who my first target is going to be in that team fight, because the first target, as an ADC, should always be the other ADCs. You always want to go for the easier opponents. While everyone is hiding in the jungle that was already warded, I decide to hang back a little bit. Lux does get off her hit against most of the team, including me. I'm very weakened, but Jean, however, is pretty weakened, so I go after him, but Gangplank goes after him first. I try to go after Sion. I miss my net ability, so that does not really work. I try to keep a safe distance, wondering if there are any opportunities I can take, but I decide to just get the fuck out of there, really, because there's nothing I can do. But I ran away a bit too late, so Vayne takes advantage of my positioning as I try to escape, and it does not work. It just really does not work. So, I suppose, yeah, I should have escaped a bit earlier, and I really should have been paying more attention to, like, what the enemy jungle is doing. Vayne takes down her turret, and the inhibitor also falls because nobody is able to really counter their full-on rampage. But here we can see that not only do I decide to make sure that the enemy cannot regen, but I also give myself a little bit of a bloodthirster so that I could get some lifesteal as well as a critical strike chance. But, you know, the lifesteal, very helpful for me because I definitely want to have that so bad. I also get a blood barrier from it. Lifesteal from attacks can now overheal you. Excess health is stored as 262. Shield that decays slowly if you haven't dealt or taken damage in the last 25 seconds. So I very much like having the Bloodthirster if I need to be a little bit defensive and have a little bit of sustainability. Just a little bit of lifesteal can go a long way if you are in a very bad position like I am. I noticed that Jean is in a very vulnerable position, so I take my opportunity and fire at him first before everybody surrounds and kills Sion, and we get a nice double kill. I decide to run away from the slowly decaying Sion to make sure that he doesn't get anything from me, but I do try to get rid of him a little bit faster. So as you can see, very nice play because I'm able to go and go in the back of their little invasion, take care of both Jean, and thanks to the efforts of the entire team, we're able to take down the Sion, who has been doing quite a bit, especially in the ways of tanking, but also a little bit of damage. So he's definitely the MVP of the enemy team, I would say, in my opinion, as well as Olaf, because they both do quite a bit of damage, but also are very tanky and hard to kill. But as you can see, in the end, we are able to deal with that. I also have myself a BF sword so that I can get the infinity crit, the infinity thing that gives you the bonus of extra crit damage for having 80% or more critical chance, which I do currently have. I have 80% critical chance with all of my items. And I see that the enemy team is gathering over at the Baron Nashor, or at least I think so. But I see Jean all by himself. I put down a ward for the Baron Nashor. But Jean, being all by himself in the jungle, is a prime opportunity to just take care of him. I do not waste the snipe on him because Wukong was able to get him first. I try to go after Vayne, but Vayne is already gone. I try to get away from Olaf. I do get hit. I use my trap net to try and get away. But unfortunately, it's not enough to get away, so I try to take down the squishy Vayne, even though I am going to die, because if I am going to get shut down, I better be taking down someone with me, and I may as well be the ADC that I could easily take care of. Unfortunately, I just not stop their rampage, but I'm at least able to get something out of it by lowering their numbers just the slightest, even if it doesn't actually mean anything in the end. It does mean something by making sure the ADCs are kept down. Now Yone goes after the Lux, but unfortunately she does use the stopwatch, which she uses to be able to survive, and Yone does everything he can to survive. As you can tell, it does not work because he is completely surrounded by 3 enemies, 2 of them extreme tanks, and one of them, and well, all of them could deal some pretty nasty damage, so it really does not work. It really does not work for Yone. And I do try to think of helping out the top lane, but at the same time, I don't really have much of an opportunity to do so, and I get hit with a bunch of damage. Luckily, I do have the Bloodthirster, so I am able to survive, and I do deal some nice damage against the Olaf. I think about going after Lux, but I also realize that's a pretty fucking stupid idea, considering that Sion will probably go after me, Lux can trap me, and I'm not very good when it comes to health, so best to go back and Fountain and just play it safe for now. Especially considering the status our team is currently in compared to the enemy team. So right now it's just kind of best to play it safe and be defensive rather than offensive. But however, it doesn't mean that we won't just take opportunities where we could find them, because we do see that Vayne is in the bottom lane alone while the rest of the enemy team is gathered at the Baron Shore. So I decide to just take a little opportunity, take some time to farm, and then I also pursue Vayne along with Yone. Yone is not able to catch up with her because his ability takes her back, so I take the snipe and finish her off. Because I noticed that she was pretty low health at the time, so I decide to just deal the snipe because no one else is going to get it, so I decide to take her down. I do notice that in the top lane there is an attack being made, and being in the defensive position that we are, I decide to back and just help out with top lane. We obviously aren't going to get the Baron Shore, so the enemy team is going to benefit from that. I was a bit too late to be able to deal with the Scion, so there wasn't really much I could do other than just farm off of minions and just get rid of the mechs so that we have a little bit more time for our inhibitor. But as you can tell, with killing Vayne, I do have the red buff, which does offer me some extra health regen. Because I killed Vayne, who killed the red buff, I was able to get the red buff myself, in case you were wondering. I decided to go over and help my team with the dragon. The enemy team does get the Baron Shore, but we are going to be able to take care of the Elder Dragon. Especially since we have such a high team concentration, and Lux is the only one to try and stop us, to try and steal the Elder Dragon from us. Now, this doesn't necessarily benefit us entirely because we do not have all 4 Dragon Souls like the enemy team does. We only have the Cloud Drake. So there isn't really much except that the fact that we denied the enemy team their Elder Dragon. So it was something at the very least. Jean is over in the top, so I try to handle him, but there are also a bunch of minions, so he does escape, unfortunately, because we have to try and defend the top lane a little bit so that we can bring the inhibitor back. But we are able to get a bunch of farm from it, so, you know, at least we benefited from going over there in the first place. Now in the mid lane there of course are a bunch of enemies around, so I decide to join it for the team fight. Sion is there as I first see, so I try to take a little bit of distancing, and as the team is backing off, I decide to back off as well, because you always want to make sure you're doing what your team is doing, except when you realize things are not going so well. In that case, you kind of want to make sure you get out of there as soon as you can. I decide to go back to top lane, see if there's more farming and also more defense I can do, which of course there is, and I am easily able to take care of the mech as well as the single melee minion. Not much of an achievement, but oh well. But you can see how effective my build is with the mech minions because it goes so quickly up. Of course, I try to use my traps effectively in this situation. Olaf is definitely trying to go after me, so I try to keep my distance, but I do see Lux being weakened, and while I go after her, Seraphine does feel the final blow. Olaf is just kind of after me, but then he switches targets, so I take advantage of it and take him down for the kill. Vayne and I are in a 1v1 duel where we both kill each other, where she shoots me with a crossbow to the heart while I split her body in half, but she does get a double kill out of it, so she does benefit a little bit more than I do, but their ADC is down, so that's at least something. Sion is able to get a double kill from Wukong, and Gangplank is just trying to get out of there, as he probably should, but the enemy team does have all of our inhibitors down, so not a very pleasant scene. Gangplank gets hit with Jean's ability, and the turrets start going down, and this is basically where everything just falls apart, and the game is, it's basically over. There's nothing else that could be done. We lose, and that's pretty much the end of it all. And no, don't you lie to me, Screen. Don't you dare lie to me like that. It's a victory for the blue team, and you are acting as though I was on the blue team. How dare you? How dare you show favoritism to the blue team? Anyway, so, with this, now we will be able to show off the full extent of our stats. I do not have the most minion kills, but I did earn the most gold, and I'm not gonna lie, I did do a lot of carrying. I did a lot of carrying for the team. I got 20 kills for the total 31 kills that we did. I did die a lot, obviously, to my own stupid mistakes, and I do recognize that they were incredibly stupid, and that I should learn from those. But this is the full extent of my build. I did get Oracle Lens eventually, but I never actually got to use it, as you could tell. And I was able to finish with my Infinity Edge, so I was able to get the best build that I could, and it definitely showed that I was able to do quite a lot with it. But that is all for this video today, so I hope you all enjoyed this video. Give a like button, a star if you did, subscribe if you want more death in your life. Be sure the bell is tolling for thee, and until next time, rest in peace. Bye! Enjoyed today's video? Well, there's plenty more for you to enjoy here, and if you also want to support this small channel, then there is also my Ko-fi, which is available, as well as a Twitter thread that gives you my commissioning info, and if you'd like some traditional art or literature, feel free to DM me on Twitter. Thank you for enjoying the video and for your viewership.